Okay, so I just wanted to take a minute to talk about our pigs, kind of what we were looking for, what we ended up with, and just what I have found works well so far. Ultimately, what kind of got us started down the route of pigs is most of our woods, at least when it's spring and summertime, is a little bit like this. There's a lot of small trees because the previous owners had it logged before they, I mean not entirely, but selectively logged before they moved. And then that of course creates a lot of disturbance. So we have tons of saplings and then tons of like just brush and brambles and things like that all over the place. So with that, because we want animals, livestock, all of these things, it takes a lot of cleanup. So here's an example of like the saplings and things I was talking about. I mean, they're growing in pretty thick all over the place. So with that comes a lot of work that needs to be done. We started homesteading. Don't really want or have the need, I don't think, for a tractor right now, though it would make some of this work a little bit faster. But really what we wanted to do was take more of a permaculture route where we could and work with the animals to do the things that we need to do. So 2 or 3 months ago, I was looking for some sort of production pig. I didn't want coonies. We don't really have a lot of pasture. It's mostly, woods and this stuff. We have a little bit of yard over here, but it's really mostly woods. And so I wanted something that would root and that would get big quickly so that we could eat them, and in the winter time, not really have to take care of animals. So that's the goal right now. We'll see how it goes. I might like one of them and try to keep it and do some farrowing, but we'll see. So essentially wanted a production pig that would be big, that would do some damage, right, and kind of till things up. So a lot of this area here was trees and things that we cut down with the chainsaw. We used loppers to snip some stuff off. And then when the pigs came through here their last day or so, actually this is the only place where I did this, their last day, I went ahead and sowed seed. Over here I did it after, and it's not turning out quite as well, but over here I did it a day before. But it's a little lumpy, so I gotta work on my timing and stuff a little bit. But really that gives you, I think, a picture of why we wanted the pigs, so that we can work with them and just slowly move them through the woods with this netting here. Some lessons learned when I got the pigs, they were not trained to electric. So when they're not trained to electric, if they hit an electric fence, they will run straight through because they don't know what's going on. So I had some netting already, but I set up polywire. They touched the polywire, freaked out, ran straight through it and escaped. And then I put up the netting, same thing happened again, except then I had a pig tangled in a net that I was on top of, yelling for my wife to go turn the electric fence off because the pig's tangled in the net, I'm on top of the pig, and he's getting shocked. And then we ended up putting up woven wire with the netting inside to train them to the fence. And that worked well for a while. But my Energizer was not strong enough. It was only like a 0.1 or a 0.2 joule Energizer. And I ended up getting a 3 joule Energizer because what was happening is the pigs weren't getting shocked. As they got bigger and maybe as they got more hair on their body, it was harder for them to get shocked by the electric fence because maybe it had a little bit of a ground here or there or whatever. I'm not a scientist, but the 3 joule has fixed all of those problems. They don't get out of the fence anymore when they touch it. They're like, yeah, I'm not going to touch that for at least a few hours, and maybe one of them touches it again later. But it hasn't been that bad. So for anyone, I guess, kind of looking to get into this, a few things I would say is, one, if your pig's not trained to electric, get woven wire and some T-posts like this first to set up so the pigs have a physical barrier. And then inside of that, you can set up the mental barrier, which is the electric, which is really just pain, right? Or even just kind of scaring them. And if they're already trained to electric, you can go straight to this netting. My suggestion would be for anyone to have 2 sets. This is Premier One hog netting. And I had 1 set at first. It wasn't big enough. I had to move them too frequently. And I think they were getting bored, which is why they would test the fence and maybe see if they could get out. So I bought 2 sets of it to connect together, and that has worked really, really well. In a perfect world, I would have a 3rd set so that when I move them, I can trap them in 1 set of that netting and prepare the next set. This time, what I did was just throw them a bunch of feed, lift up the fence, and hope that they stay there and eat, which, I mean, it's been a long time and they're still eating while I set the fence up. But definitely woven wire if they're not, or some sort of physical barrier. It can be wood or whatever, but just strong enough to keep them in. If they're not trained to electric, in order to get them trained, and I would do at least 2 sets of this netting. Briars. The next thing is some sort of bulk waterer, so you don't have to fill up a bucket every day. I just have one of these blue barrels, like food grade barrels. They have ones where you can take the lid off and it's got a little latch. Those were more expensive where I am, like $45, so not terrible, but this was 20 bucks. I just sliced the top off. I don't even bother putting the top back on because this is only here for like 7 or 10 days and it doesn't, I mean, it'll get helicopters and stuff in there, but it's not terrible. And probably next time I move it, I'll rinse out some algae and stuff that's in there. But the pigs can get to this nipple, and it just sits on 2 cinder blocks. Normally, I have a T-post that it's connected to with a ratchet strap, but this time there's a tree here that was easily accessible, so I just connected it to that tree, and so that is my waterer for this time. I don't have a bulk feeder. I wish I did, because I would love to just throw like 5 or 6 bags of feed in. Maybe not 5 or 6, maybe 3 or 4. So they could just get to the feed whenever they want. But that's not the case right now, and I haven't built one yet. So right now I'm just coming down every day to check on them and give them food at least once a day, which is fine because I need to come check on them anyway, so I'm fine just opening a bag of feed and carrying it down for now. But as I get further and further down this hill that I'm taking them down, I'm probably going to feel a little bit differently about carrying that bucket with food in it every day, but we'll see. And then, of course, I just run the hose out here to fill the barrel up. That's going to be a problem eventually. It hasn't been yet, but yeah, I mean, that's really it. Make sure your Energizer is hot enough or strong enough. Make sure you have netting. I would get that stuff ahead of time. If they're not trained to electric, I would get woven wire or something to keep them in so you can train them to the electric before you start moving them around. Have yourself a waterer, maybe a bulk feeder, maybe not, but I would definitely do like a bigger bulk waterer or something like that. We do have a black stock tank. I don't know if you can see it very well right there. That when they were more out in the open and there weren't as many leaves on the trees, I was filling up with water so that they could cool off. Now they've discovered they can use the waterer and kind of hold the nipple open to get water out and then wallow in it there to cool off. So I've just been letting them do that because they're not going to stop, and it's one less thing for me to put over there. And I've only had to fill up the waterer like once during the week when that has been going on. So it's not that bad. And the other thing I would say is to interact with them. I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops. I would not suggest doing that because you're going to get mud all over your legs from their noses because they're curious and they're going to want to come see what you're doing. They might step on your toes, which would really hurt. So I wouldn't do that, but interact with them, pet them. They're like dogs, and get them to know and understand you, because and get them to know that you're bringing them food. So even if you have a bulk feeder for a while, I would certainly feed them with a bucket or something they can recognize. So I use this orange bucket. Sometimes there's another white bucket I use, but if they see me with a bucket, they know two things: food and friend, right? So they recognize me as the person that's feeding them all the time. So when they've gotten out, I can just grab a bucket, throw some food in it, slap the side of the bucket, and they come to wherever I am. I dump the food out and they'll go eat it. So that familiarity is great as well. I feel like that might be it really as far as kind of lessons that I've learned. So I didn't come into this with an agenda or planned out or anything written down. I was just hoping to kind of just stream of consciousness, put something out there that might help somebody. Maybe one day I'll have more organized format for videos and things like that. But right now, I don't have a ton of time for that. So this is what you get. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you all next time.